What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another weather forecast here by Adrian Weather Forecast, and it's going to be another tropical update here. And we now have Invest 96L with a new area of interest just outside of the southeast coast. So we have two areas to watch out for in the North Atlantic. So basically, we are watching out whether the Atlantic is starting to wake up like I expected. This video is going to be a little bit early as well, kind of fast and rushed because I'm actually running late. I'm supposed to leave my house in less than an hour to go to the airport for Miami. So this video is going to be very, very fast, and I want to try to make it as fast as possible. So I do apologize if it sounds rushed. I just want to have this video out before I leave to Miami because my computer that I'm going to be using in Miami is from 2018 and it runs very slow. So this will be my last chance in 10 days to actually have a fast running system. But without further ado, let's get into the tropical forecast. So here's looking at the 5-day tropical weather outlook here by the National Hurricane Center for Miami, and we now have a new area of interest here, a new AOI, and you're probably wondering where the heck did this come from, where we actually have some decent, some decent convection with some lightning outside of the Bahama region. So we are definitely watching out for that to possibly be something of interest. So we do have only a 20% here for the next 48 hours and 5 days. But yesterday this was a 10-10, so it has increased 10% for both 48 hours and 5 days. And we still now have Invest 95L. We actually have this big, large area of potential development. So this thing can very well develop here, or it could develop here, or it may not even develop at all. See, there's very low chances that both of these will form. It's very unlikely that any of these will form. But obviously we have to watch out. If anything will form, it will be 95L. It does have a lot better conditions overall and a lot more time. And it's going to be heading to just overall better conditions. A lot of that shear and dry air is a little bit to the east here. Sorry, to the east. So it's looking like it's going to go through better conditions. So at this point, we're watching out for mainly 95L, maybe for development. Again, still a small chance, very unlikely at this point, but they do have a 20-30%. And actually, yesterday morning, it was a 10-10. So this as well has increased, but still watching out for a low pressure associated with the tropical wave that came off Africa not too long ago, a few days ago. And we do have some strong thunderstorms and showers within this area of low, which is why it has increased probability-wise and as well has increased convection-wise. And then for 96L, we do have, again, an area of trough that we do have some disorganized showers and thunderstorms about 600 miles southeast of the Georgia coast. This is actually including Georgia, South Carolina, and even northern Florida. So this is actually a very weird invest track because typically nothing hits Georgia at all. So this will be the first time any tropical system hits Georgia landfall-wise in decades. Obviously, they got Zeta, they got portions of Michael as well, Irma, but they have not had a direct landfall from a tropical system or tropical storm in decades. So if this were to form, which I do doubt, and it hits Georgia, this will be the first time in forever, and a really weird track. But right now, we have two invests to watch out for, so let's go ahead and get a look here at the convection map. So here's a look now at the area of Invest 95L, and boy, there's basically no convection at all. There's actually really no lighting at all. So the convection here is basically just some scattered showers and rainstorms. There's really absolutely no thunderstorms within the Invest 95L, so that's exactly why I said either way, both of these invests are very unlikely to actually form, including 95L. But if anything has the best chance to form, it will be 95L down the road as it goes through better conditions. But right now, there's really little convection at all. The most amount of convection is kind of in that northern portion, but there's no lighting at all. This thing's completely open. So if the thing were to encounter any type of limiting factors, it would completely fall apart here. But let's not go ahead and get an actual look at the visible here so we can get a better idea of visible wise, because although convection may look really awful, you can see a lot more cloud tops and overall structure when it comes to visible. So let's go ahead and get a look at the visible, and visible as well looks pretty trash as well. This looks pretty open. There's a lot of convection right there. A lot of that convection is kind of more towards the west region, but this thing is just really absolutely trash. You can kind of see that convection there, but like I did say, there's really no lighting at all. I mean, you would see the lighting flash. The thing is, Invest 96L does have more lightning. The thing is, timing will be an issue, which is why I have stressed that if anything will form out of these two, it will be Invest 95L because it has a lot more time, although it looks really trash at this point. Invest 96L looks decent. I mean, it's really scattered. It's still pretty bad, but it actually does have lightning across this convection area, and it's got convection really widespread across this low and not lopsided. Obviously, it's completely trash and awful looking, but there's actually some lightning within this, and that's definitely something to keep a close eye on. So, although it's very close to the Bahamas already, meaning it's not too far off from the United States coast, timing will be the only issue with this. But if this thing were far into the MDR, looking like this, there would definitely be a chance for formation. But right now, this is an invest. It became an invest earlier, not too long ago. So we do have invest 96L now. So at this point, we're just gonna keep a close eye on it. But like I just said, I'm not too worried about this forming. There's a chance, obviously, there is a 20% for the next 48 hours. So the fact there's already a 20% for the next 48 hours is definitely something to watch out for. Obviously, this could be like an Invest 93L type system where like it comes out of nowhere and then forms out of nowhere as well. So this is exactly why I'm going to keep a close eye on it, because it will be going through the Gulf Stream, those really, really warm waters. So that will be the only factor that will help this form right before landfall. So if it wants to form, it'll have to really take advantage of that Gulf Stream in those really warm waters if it really wants to do something. So we're just keep a close eye on it. Like I just say, I'm not too confident within these invests, but there's still a chance, and there's still areas of favorable conditions. So these could form, these could not. It's just really very iffy. Here's the latest look at the European probability for tropical depression winds here. So basically looking at over 20 knots. And as you do see, we have a large area in the eastern MDR region. That is western MDR region because of Invest 95L. We actually have a 70 to 80% chance for tropical depression winds within the next 0 to 3 days, as well we do have a 40 to 50%. No, sorry, we actually do have a 30 to 40% for tropical depression winds for areas off the southeast coast. So we actually do have that stretching in Savannah, Jacksonville, and even Charleston. So we'll have to watch out for that region. And then, as in again, the next 1 to 4 days, still a really large 70 to 80% with a very large area of over 50%. So although there is a very low confidence at this point for 95L, really, according to the global models, the European does have a really good chance for tropical depression winds. And then obviously after that, it goes into portions of the Caribbean, and then it completely dies out wind-wise. But we do still have to watch out, because like I did say, although it's not bearable, it's very low. And then you see we only have a 10 to 20% for tropical storm winds for the next 0 to 3 days, and then it increases to a 30 to 40%. So it actually does get up to a 30 to 40% for tropical storm winds. Considering that this is for the 3 to 6 days, is not too shabby. So it could form. I guess you could say chances are increasing due to the conditions getting a little bit more favorable. But this does have a chance to possibly form. It's still very small, but if anything is going to form, it will be Invest 95L. Let's now go get a look here at the Invest 95L model intensity guidance. So they actually, a lot of these models have it getting up to a tropical storm, actually, which is shocking, that considering that a lot of them were turning downward and now they're back up. So they actually kind of have it making forming as early as the next 48 hours to basically the next 72 hours. So basically watching out for the next 2 to 3 days. And for the next 48 hours, it does have a 20%, and for the next 5 days, it has a 30%. So just watching out. Track guidance, so they kind of take it towards the Lesser Antilles and portions of the Windward Islands. So going to watch out for that. The thing is, this thing can very well pull out at Gonzalo. If this thing were to luckily form, like if it were to get its act together and somehow form, this thing would probably do in Gonzalo and just absolutely become a bust, because considering where it's going to be going track-wise, GEFS tracks and actual minimal central pressure, as you do see, they have minimal pressure at 1,000 millibars. So this thing does not look like it's going to form. Global models, GFS, European, they have this no longer forming at this point. But computer models want to have this form, so it's kind of back and forth at this point. Invest 96L model intensity guidance, we do have these actually forming within the next 24 hours. So, I mean, there's a chance that we could very well get 2 storms out of this. I mean, if everything were to go right, we could get 2 storms out of this within, before July, basically. If we somehow, some way get 2 storms before July. I mean, it's June 27th. Think about that. June 27th. If we get 2 storms out of these, then that would be absolutely crazy. Because, I mean, the model intensity guidance, the first model intensity guidance for Invest go crazy. So I'm not like unbelieving this. Because, again, it's only at like 1,016 millibars. And then it makes landfall in 48 hours. So like I just say, time's going to be an issue. It has 48 hours before landfall. So it has to get its act together. The only good thing about this, it does have the Gulf Stream. And typically there's not that much shear around this region at this time of year. So there's a chance we can very well see something interesting out of this. Like I said, it'd be crazy if we get two storms, whether they're depressions or tropical storms. Either way, if we get two systems to form before July, that would be absolutely crazy. Like I said, that's very unlikely, but it's definitely a possibility. So here's looking at the new 12Z GFS, and there they have Invest 95L, and there's Invest 96L. You see nothing interesting. So the GFS basically does not want to have any of these form. They actually get Invest 96 or Invest 95L to 1,011 millibars in the next 42 hours, but then they have Invest 96L making landfall in the next 30 to 42 hours, and they don't have anything interesting at all. Do you see the ISO bar there? Low pressure, but it's basically more than 1,010 millibars, so nothing interesting whatsoever. Let's not go ahead and get a look at the CMC, see what the CMC 12Z is just running right now, but let's go ahead and look at these 0Z CMC. That won't hurt. Even the CMC doesn't want to have any of these form whatsoever. I mean, actually, Invest 96L doesn't look too interesting whatsoever. Actually, had only 1,018 millibars for the CMC. So, I mean, a lot of these do not want to have these form at all. The Icon model, which is a kind of gets a really good idea of these low pressures, only has it at 1,012 millibars for 95L, and then it has it getting to 1,012 again, 1,011. 1,009, and then it dies out. So the Invest or Icon is really the only one to show this low pressure staying for a while for Invest 95L. But the thing is, they only get to 1,009 millibars minimum pressure, which obviously is not even worth maybe a tropical depression at some point. And then they really don't have anything for 96L. So a lot of these are just a lot of the computer models want to have these form, but the global models on the other hand don't want to have anything. So look at the European here, the new European 0Z. They have a small vorticity signature for Invest 95L, but just because it has a small, teeny little vorticity signature does not mean it's going to be a system or it's going to form. It's going to be very disorganized and then it dies out. But the European does have a pretty big blob vorticity-wise for 96L, but it's just not centered, it's not organized really whatsoever, and it's just a big blob vorticity. That's definitely not worth being a depression. So really, global models, European, ICOM, GFS, Canadian, you name it, they don't have these forming at all. But the computer models want to have these form, both of them. So it's really, really iffy at this point. Like I said, really warm Gulf Stream for 95L, or sorry, 96L. Right now it's kind of right here, over 27, maybe 28 degrees Celsius waters. And then let's say it goes for Florida, maybe Georgia, South Carolina region. It's gonna run through 29 plus degrees Celsius water. The only problem is right off the Savannah, Georgia coast, Jacksonville coast, there is around only 24.5 to 25 degrees Celsius waters. But it does have a decent wave over 29 degrees Celsius. So if it were to get that together and it heads, it could very well form right before landfall. But like I just said, time-wise, it can't possibly do that. 95 on the other hand, in pretty warm water at this point, it's kind of into the area of 28.5, maybe 29 degrees Celsius. At this point, it's going to be going through really warm water for its whole path. So like I just say, this will be the only chance for any of these things to form. 95L has the best conditions SST-wise. So look at the shear. There's really not much shear. Or actually, there is decent shear where the current location is for 95L. But for the future area, there's not much shear to a little shear. For 96L, there's actually very little shear. It's actually in an area of less than 15 knots. So actually, shear should not be a big problem for Invest 96L. Let's not go to the future. But by the time we get to the future, a shear really will be getting its act together and get up to around maybe 30 to 35 knots. So considering how open 96L is, it will struggle to really form. Let's not go ahead and look at the future track here for 95L, sorry. And there's not going to be much here really whatsoever, maybe 24 knots, 26 knots. But at this point, 96 or 95L, sorry, has the best chance to form. And there's not going to be really a big problem. There will be a little bit drier. So again, considering how 96L is so open and there is drier to the west, it's really unfavorable for this to become anything interesting. And now obviously we have the big moisture bubble there for Invest 95L. But hope you guys enjoyed the video and I'll see you guys later.